Larry Daly was in a pickle. Life had thrown him curveballs and he was struggling to keep up. He often found himself sitting alone, lost in thought, wondering how things had come to this point. He was a divorced dad trying his best to stay connected with his son, Nick. Larry cherished the memories of when Nick was younger, back when things were simpler. He would often look at old photos and drawings Nick had made, longing for those days when their bond felt unbreakable. But now, as Nick grew older, the distance between them seemed to grow too. Conversations were short, often one-sided, and Larry felt like he was losing his son. He tried to bridge the gap, but Nick's teenage world seemed impenetrable. To make matters worse, Larry couldn't hold down a job. He had tried everything from sales to office work, but nothing seemed to stick. Rejection letters piled up on his desk, each one a reminder of his struggles. His latest attempt to turn things around was an invention: glow-in-the-dark dog leashes. He had poured his heart into the idea, convinced it would be a hit, but the market didn't agree, and the leashes ended up gathering dust in his garage. "Another winner, Dad," Nick mumbled sarcastically, his eyes glued to his phone. The comment stung, but Larry couldn't blame him. He knew he hadn't been the role model Nick needed. Larry sighed deeply. He needed a win, and fast. He couldn't let Nick see him as a failure. He had to find a way to turn things around, not just for himself, but for his son too. Late one night, Larry sat at his computer, scrolling through job listings. Most of them seemed unappealing or out of reach, but he couldn't afford to be picky anymore. Then something caught his eye. A position for a night guard at the Museum of Natural History. It didn't sound glamorous, and it certainly wasn't his dream job, but it was something. At least it was a paycheck. He imagined himself walking through the quiet museum halls at night. It wasn't exciting, but maybe it was exactly what he needed. A fresh start. A chance to prove he could stick to something. The next day, Larry tried to engage Nick. "How about we check out this museum tomorrow?" he suggested, hoping to spark some interest. Nick just shrugged, barely looking up from his phone. It wasn't the enthusiastic response Larry had hoped for, but it was a start. That night, Larry stood in front of the mirror, rehearsing what he would say at the job interview. He knew this was more than just about getting a job. It was about proving to himself, and to Nick, that he wasn't a quitter. As he stood outside the museum the next day, Larry felt a renewed sense of determination. This was his chance to turn things around, to show Nick that no matter how many times life knocked him down, he could always get back up. Larry wasn't just fighting for a job, he was fighting for his family, and for his own self-worth. The Museum of Natural History was grand, imposing columns, soaring ceilings. Larry felt a shiver as he walked in for his interview. The old guard, Cecil, gave him the rundown. "Just make sure everything stays put, easy peasy." Larry chuckled. Piece of cake. Little did he know, this was no ordinary museum. This place held secrets, ancient magic, and a whole lot of trouble waiting to be unleashed. The first night on the job, Larry felt a chill. He shone his flashlight on the T-Rex skeleton. It blinked. He laughed nervously. It must be a trick of the light. But then, the ground shook. A roar echoed through the halls. The mammoth exhibit had come to life. Larry's jaw dropped. He watched in disbelief as cowboys dueled with Roman soldiers. Miniature civilizations waged war in the dioramas. The museum was a chaotic, hilarious, and utterly terrifying free-for-all. Dexter, the mischievous capuchin monkey, was the first to test Larry's limits. He stole Larry's keys, leading to a wild goose chase through Egyptian tombs and medieval castles. Then there was the Neanderthal, who discovered fire, again. Larry spent most of his night battling blazes with a tiny fire extinguisher. "This is not in the job description," Larry muttered, dodging a charging miniature Roman chariot. He was quickly learning that history was anything but boring. It was loud, messy, and absolutely bonkers. Nick, intrigued by his dad's stories, started spending time at the museum. One night, Larry let him in on the secret. Together, they watched in awe as miniature Romans clashed with Huns. They marveled at the life-size dioramas, feeling like giants among tiny civilizations. Larry even let Nick control the battleship model in the naval exhibit. "Fire!" Nick shouted, giggling as the tiny cannons lit up. For the first time in a long time, Larry saw genuine joy in his son's eyes. Section 6. The Case of the Missing Tablet. A tale of mystery, magic, and redemption, all unfolding under the dim lights of the museum halls. At the heart of this story was an ancient Egyptian tablet, a relic of immense power. It wasn't just a piece of history. It was the source of the magic that brought the museum to life every night. The hieroglyphs etched into its surface told a story of ancient rituals and secrets that had been hidden for centuries. Larry, the night guard, stumbled upon a shocking discovery. Cecil, a former security guard, along with his band of retired colleagues, had devised a cunning plan. Under the cover of darkness, they moved stealthily through the museum halls, their eyes set on the tablet. Their goal? To steal it and harness its magic for their own selfish desires. They believed the tablet held the key to eternal youth, a chance to defy time itself. The allure of immortality was too tempting for them to resist, but in their pursuit of eternal life, they were willing to risk everything, even the sanctity of the museum and the balance of its magical world. Larry, however, saw things differently. He wasn't just a night guard anymore. He felt a deep sense of responsibility toward the museum and its treasures. The tablet wasn't just an artifact to him, it was a symbol of history, culture, and the magic that connected the past to the present. He knew it had to stay where it belonged. Confronting Cecil and his group wasn't easy. The tension in the air was palpable as Larry stood his ground. This wasn't just about stopping a theft, it was about protecting something far greater. It was about preserving the magic and ensuring that the museum's legacy remained intact for generations to come. For Larry, this was more than just a job. It was his chance to prove himself, to rise above his past mistakes, and to be the hero he always wanted to be. In that moment, standing in the dimly lit museum, he realized that this was his purpose. The case of the missing tablet wasn't just a mystery to solve, it was his journey toward redemption. Section 7, a night of teamwork and triumph. It was a night unlike any other, where the quiet halls of the museum transformed into a stage for an extraordinary adventure. The moonlight bathed the museum in an eerie glow, setting the perfect backdrop for what was about to unfold. On the night of the heist, the museum turned into, well, a full-on battleground. The exhibits, usually silent and still, came alive with a purpose. The air was electric, filled with the sounds of footsteps, whispers, and the occasional roar. It was as if the museum itself had a heartbeat that night. Larry, with Nick right there by his side, rallied all the exhibits to pitch in and help. It wasn't just about stopping the thieves, it was about protecting their shared home. From the smallest figurine to the largest skeleton, everyone had a role to play. Larry's leadership shone as he brought together this unlikely team. The T-Rex? Yeah, it chased the thieves through the Hall of Mammals. Its massive bones clattered with every step, a terrifying yet awe-inspiring sight. The thieves didn't stand a chance against the sheer determination of this prehistoric protector. Meanwhile, the miniature civilizations came together, united to protect their home. Tiny warriors, farmers, and even royalty worked side by side, proving that size doesn't matter when it comes to courage. Their synchronized efforts were nothing short of remarkable. Honestly, it was a night filled with chaos, laughter, and, some pretty unexpected bravery. The exhibits, despite their differences, found common ground in their shared mission. The museum was alive in every sense of the word, a whirlwind of motion and emotion. Even Dexter, that mischievous little monkey, had his moment. He snatched the tablet right out of Cecil's grasp at the very last second. It was a daring move, one that left everyone holding their breath. Dexter's cheeky grin said it all. He was the hero of the hour, proving that even the smallest among them could make the biggest difference. As the night came to an end, the museum stood victorious. The exhibits, once mere artifacts, had become a family. They celebrated their triumph together, their laughter echoing through the halls. It was a night of teamwork, courage, and an unbreakable bond that would be remembered forever. Section 8, the museum's revival and a father's redemption. With the tablet safe and sound, the museum was, well, saved. Word got out about the nightly spectacle, and soon, huge crowds started pouring in. Larry, now hailed as a hero, finally found some job security. But more importantly, he found something way more valuable: his son's respect. "You were amazing, Dad," Nick exclaimed, his face just beaming with pride. Larry smiled, and in that moment, he wasn't the bumbling dad anymore. No, he was the protector of history, the ringmaster of the museum's magical circus. Section 9. History's Magic. The Museum of Natural History, well, it wasn't just a collection of artifacts anymore. It became a testament to the magic that happens when history, comes alive. It taught Larry that even the most ordinary places can hold the most extraordinary secrets. And sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of chaos to bring a father and son closer together.